You have one new message. Translating. Disney and Pixar's Hoppers is now available on Disney+.
You could say that again.
Critics are calling it Pixar's funniest movie ever and a wildly entertaining ride. Blizzard Potato. It's certified fresh and verified hot.
Now we party.
This is incredible!
Wow, I am clearing the rest of the day.
Disney and Pixar's Hoppers, now available on Disney+. Rated PG.
After all you put me through, you'd think I despise you. But in the end, I want to thank you for making me that much stronger.
You are now listening to The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast hosted by Kay on Spotify. A podcast aimed to uncover and share the stories behind heinous and insane acts that have been overlooked or overshadowed by mainstream media, getting justice for the voices that can't speak.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl Kay, and I am the host of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast. A podcast designed to focus on crimes committed in the Black community that you don't hear about in mainstream media, giving a voice to those victims that have otherwise been silenced. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast with me, Kay, the Texas girl in a Georgia world, baby. Ladies, how y'all feel? Fellas, y'all all right? It is Sunday, March 15th, 2026, and your girl is feeling worn out, okay? Like, let me tell y'all, this is the corrected episode of Nathan Holden. I must have re-recorded part 2 like 3 times because every time I got ready to upload it, it kept giving me an error message. Then it was saying it was too long. Then it was too much weird airspace. So I was like, you know what? This is getting on my nerve. So rather than do it in 2 parts, I said, okay, I'm going to re-record everything, part 1 and part 2, and put it together. It was supposed to be like 2 hours long originally. I don't even know how long this is going to be, but y'all are getting it, okay? Like, so much stuff is happening. I can't wait to tell y'all about it at the end of the episode, but I wanted to make sure that y'all got the correct version. So you are getting the correct extended version, okay? Now, I will tell y'all, make sure that y'all stay tuned at the end of the episode because I got some stuff that I got to spill for y'all. Okay, I got to give y'all some early heads up on some things. Now, y'all know what I'm about to ask, right? What you sipping on? Now, as for me, y'all know I'm sipping on a little icy Dr. Pepper, and it is good, okay? I put that thing in the freezer for a little bit before I drank it, so it's got that good little slush to it. Nom, nom, nom. Anyway, I hope y'all got some good drinks. Hopefully, you got your snacks on deck. I got my hot tamales and my nachos because that's what I want, and so does the little one. I got to take it easy though because this one is very high risk, and right now I'm being told that I have to be prepared for whatever may come. So I'm being optimistic and keeping a positive attitude, or at least trying. So I'm taking it easy and making sure that I don't stress. So y'all say a prayer for your girl. But I don't want to keep you guys down with the extra, so let's get into it, shall we? Hop on in and buckle up because today we're going to take a ride back to 2014 in Wendell, North Carolina. Honey, 2014 was a year, okay? John Legend had everybody at their wedding playing All of Me. Iggy Azalea stepping on the scene feeling fancy with her little swaggy P, and I don't even think they together anymore. And then Pharrell, he had the world clapping along because he was happy. Didn't he sue for that, or was that Blurred Lines? No, that was Blurred Lines. Anyway, Steve Harvey had the box office on Smash with Think Like a Man 2, and Tyler Perry made a butt ton of money with Medea's Neighbor from Hell, as he should. So yeah, it was a pretty good year. Until one man decided that he couldn't handle the rejection from his wife, his, supposed to be best friend. He couldn't handle her leaving him, and he decided to end everyone's happiness. So y'all ready to get into it? Y'all know what time it is. Let's get it. This week's case involves Angelia Smith Taylor, victim, Sylvester Taylor Sr., victim, LaTonya Taylor Allen, surviving victim, and the infamous murderer of the week, Nathan Holden. LaTonya Taylor was born February 22nd, 1982, to Angelia Smith Taylor and Sylvester Taylor Sr. She grew up living in Wendell, North Carolina, which is a really small town. I mean, tiny, a really small town. It was also known as Riley Hill. It was a part of Wake County. So if it helps, think about like Wake Forest University area like that. That should tell you how small that town is. Okay. So, naturally, she grew up in the church because she had two very religious parents. Her mother was a pastor at Zion Hill Holiness Church, and she was one of those kind of pastors that like all the kids liked, like not one of the boring ones where you was falling asleep in church. Like no, she was very, interactive with the kids. They liked her. She loved kids. She would talk to anybody. Then on top of that, her dad was the deacon and he was like a veteran from the Vietnam War. He served in both wars, but in the second one, he got hurt. And so they sent him home because of his injury. And it kind of, you know, left him in a bad spot, but he was able to pick himself back up. So he did a lot of maintenance and all of that for the church. And he was able to minister throughout the church as well. So obviously Latanya came from a very, loving household, both parents and all of that. And she grew up in a kind of neighborhood where everybody was family oriented. So, she had a half brother by her dad, which would be Sylvester Jr. He basically had Sylvester before he got with her mother. So that's how he came about. And her and Sylvester, they were close, of course. So it was just, like I said, it was one of those type of environments where everybody just kind of, loved on each other. Everybody got along. Everybody was just, it was like one of those storybook kind of, families. Now, Latanya was the typical girl as far as how she grew up, what, friends, grades, school, all of that. And her story with Nathan kind of started early on. Like they grew up together in the same neighborhood, different environments, but in the same neighborhood, no less. So Tanya came from a more loving household, whereas Nathan came from a more toxic one. Nathan Holden was born May 3rd, 1983, to Nathaniel Carroll and Antoinette Holden. He grew up in a household with his brother Jamal and his little sister Katina. But like I said, where they grew up, it was rough. Okay, it was a little different than what Latanya was used to. Their mother, Antoinette, she was a alcoholic and a drug addict. Like Shawty Girl was down bad, okay? And his father, Nathaniel, he had his own set of issues. Granted, he wasn't, heavy into drugs, but he was abusive as hell. Like there were so many days that Nathan and his sister and brother, they would come home and they would see their mother with fresh bruises on her face and, crying and in tears, and their father just acting like it's normal, Their mom would have her face bashed in. She would be high out of her mind. Like, well, honestly, it's no wonder that she got high and did drugs and drank because she was probably trying to forget all of that. But, like, damn. So Nathan was seeing all of this firsthand. And it was getting worse for him because, he's watching his mom basically self destruct and she can't shake the demons that she's been dealing with. The drugs got a hold of her. She's trying, to get better, but it's not happening. And she gets addicted to crack. And that's when it just really like hits Nathan like, okay, my mom is never going to be the same. And he wanted to help her so bad. Like he really wanted her to go out there and get clean. But what can you do as a kid? Like there's not much you can do. So he sees LaTonya one day, and they're, in the neighborhood, and he was like, "Okay, she looks pretty friendly." So he goes over to her and introduces himself, and they start talking and everything, and they become really good friends. She became like his, guiding light, I guess you could say, his refuge. She was that person that was there to listen to him through everything that he experienced. She was like I guess you could say, an outlet. She was really truly there for him, and like they literally were like best friends. And they always say that the greatest relationships start off as a friendship. Although I'm kind of, I'm kind of tossed for that one. But anyway, so for the longest, they were just friends. That's all it was. It was like literally two peas in a pod. Tanya, if you saw her, then you saw Nathan, and it wasn't really more than that until they reached, like, the high school age, and then it was just like, "Okay, oh my god, I didn't realize how much I love this man, and oh my god, I didn't realize how much I love her," you know what I'm saying? So, they're in high school telling each other how much they love each other, how much they wanna be together, and they are joined at the hip now, like, they are, each other's second layer of skin. And so then they start fucking around. They start messing with each other, having sex and all of that. And baby, yeah, Tanya's daddy, oh, he was not feeling that at all. It's one thing for you to be out here, dating, but it's another you done deflowered your baby girl. Yeah, your baby girl done got knocked down. So he's trying to handle that. He's just like, "Nah, we not doing this. I'm not appreciating this." No. But it's too late because LaTonya ended up getting pregnant. And I mean, well, the old folks called it, you done come in the family way. And she came in the family way at 15 years old. That's right. 15. She ended up pregnant. And she's freaking out because she's like, "Oh my God, what am I gonna do? I'm still in school. My parents gonna kill me. Oh my God, oh my God." Like, yeah, that's reason to panic, boo. You know. And of course, people are gonna have something to say because how you 15 years old and you pregnant, your mama is the pastor of the church. Your daddy is the deacon of the church. Like, that's some diabolical, like, next level stuff right there. You can't tell me that it's not. And so, you know, getting pregnant in high school definitely was not on her list of goals. But, she sits down and she tells her parents, and, they're disappointed, of course, but they tell her, "Hey, listen, it happened. Now this is all we can do. We got to prepare." So they did. And it was kinda good that they did because when LaTonya told Nathan that she was pregnant, whoo, homeboy turned into Casper. Homeboy turned into one of these ninjas out of Cobb County that know they got about 8 warrants for back child support. Homie was gone, okay? So, when she tells him, he was just like, yeah, my parents don't think I need to be, dealing with you until after the blood test, so holla at me then." "Oh, word? So holla at you then?" Okay. Y'all, who she better than me? Because I promise you it would have been some slow singing and flower bringing at that point. But yeah, she goes and tells this dude, "Oh, I'm pregnant and I'm keeping it, of course." And he's like, "Oh, well, my parents, they don't think I should hang around you, so, just holla at me when the baby gets here." And this is really where I start to think,
No, you done fucked up, right? No, 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 no. You know you done fucked up, right?
yes, I know it's early on that I said it, but damn it, it's warranted. First of all, little boy, you ain't shit to sit up there and say, "Oh, well, my parents think that I shouldn't talk to you." Clearly, your parents don't make the best decisions because your mama was out there strung out and your daddy over here whooping somebody's ass. So I would be taking what my parents say with a grain of salt. Ugh. If anything, fuck you and your parents. I'm just saying, okay? Like, how you just going you get this girl pregnant and then you just leave her to handle everything on her own. She's 15, bro. It's not like she 25. It's not like she an adult. She 15. Hell, you ain't got shit figured out. So you just expect her to do it. You put all the responsibility on her. Boy, fuck you. But luckily, she did have people in her corner. So she handled the entire pregnancy by herself. This Negro Nathan wasn't there for not near appointment, not one. Ooh, help me, Father, because I promise y'all would see me on the news. But despite Nathan's lack of concern and existence during the 9 months, in 2000, Jeremy is born. And once their son Jeremy is born, Nathan, he takes the DNA test. It's confirmed that it's his, no biggie there. And I'm just sitting back like, woo, she a good one. Cause I would have been like, boy, kiss my entire ass. Fuck you and the clique you claim. Like, nah, we ain't gonna never be cool. Like, you can come and see your baby, that's about it. But, you know, she she kept the door open, I guess you could say. She kept the door open and yeah. So they get the DNA test done and everything is proven that it's his kid. And now, after he's got the proof, they can be the happy family. And, that's when Nathan is like, oh, baby, I'm going to take care of you. I love you. I've always loved you. Yeah, my parents was on that bullshit. It was never like that, baby. I just want to make you happy. And then the next thing you know, in 2002, he tells her, let's just go ahead and get married. So in 2002, Nathan and LaTonya, they get married. Her father and her son, Jeremy, walked her down the aisle. And I watched the video. It was so cute. And then you had her mother, she officiated the wedding. It was a nice day. Like they looked genuinely happy. And, the baby had his little tuxedo on and, Nathan was wearing this all white tux and Tanya had this pretty white dress on. Like it was very princess ball gown, whatever. Like if I ever get married again, a princess ball gown is always a plus because I ain't got to worry about no shapewear. It hides so much and it poofs it out and it's classic. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I said it hides stuff, but yeah, I mean, of course, there's different reasons to wear the dress. But anyway, all right. So they have their wedding and everything, and it's a really joyous moment, and all you're thinking is, okay, well, God joined together, let no man put asunder. And that was the vow that they lived by. But then, things are going good while they are. Nathan is still in school and, so was Latanya. And Nathan's mama Antoinette and his father decided that, okay, hey, we've been gone long enough, you know, we've been together long enough, we're gonna go ahead and just divorce. And so in a sense, it was kind of a shock to Nathan, but at the same time, he was like, okay, it's about time. Maybe now my mama can get herself together. Maybe now, she can be happier, she can be healthier. So his parents end up splitting up. And, even though you're grown, you can sit there and say that you can deal with it, but no person can really deal with all of that. Like mentally, that's a lot. So all of this is going down, and Latanya decides that she wants to further her education, so she enrolls in college. And she's, still handling business. She's a teen mom, but she's still getting stuff done. And so she ended up getting Nathan a job. And he starts working at this barbershop because everybody said that Nathan was like, you know, he was the shit when it came to cutting hair. So he gets a job at the barbershop. But I don't know if I don't know if that was really what he wanted to do or if that was just something to do to, kind of make money. So he gets this job or whatever, and I guess everything is going good, but like he kind of starts acting different. He kind of starts switching things up or whatever. And then right around the time that Jeremy is like, I think like maybe 5 years old, Tanya finds out that she's pregnant again. And so, this time is different. They're married. I wish the fuck you would say your parents told you that you needed to fall back. No, we're not doing that. So this time, Tanya is pregnant. And yeah, so now they have to get ready for two kids. And in 2005, she gives birth to their beautiful daughter, Nautica. I like that name. And, everything was cool. Everybody was happy, all of that. But then this nigga turned around and gets her pregnant again. I was like, damn, ASAP, can you leave Rihanna alone? I know y'all saw. Man, she stayed pregnant. Bless her heart. But yeah, so they end up with another daughter that's born in 2006, a daughter named Amber. And it just bless their hearts. They got, what's it called? Irish twins or something like that. So they got two babies under the age of 2. They're like 11 months apart. Okay. Oof, 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 shit. The way I would have jumped off of a freaking nope. 2 under 2? Nah, man. Nah. But, they made it work. They made it do what it do. The Experience the Exhale 2.0 Summit is coming fall 2026. Experience the Exhale is a faith rooted wellness community for women that are navigating life, love, and identity. If you're in a season of transition, married, separated, divorced, or simply rediscovering yourself as a single woman, this is your safe space to breathe, heal, and gain clarity. Through guided support and a powerful sisterhood, Experience the Exhale helps you release what no longer serves you and step into your next chapter with peace and purpose. Connect with us and locate your rainbow. Sis, it's time to exhale. Follow Experience the Exhale on all social media handles, Instagram and Facebook at Experience the Exhale. You can also check out their website to take the clarity quiz on www.experiencetheexhale.com. Now, around the time that she had the girls, she was working at the bank and she was kind of providing majority of the income for the household because Nathan was, cutting hair, but he wasn't making nearly enough to support everybody. And then on top of that, he wasn't really supportive of her. Like he wasn't there for her like he used to be. He was gone all night. He would come home whenever he felt like it, and Tanya's not a stupid woman. Like she knows, every woman knows what that is. When your man starts slipping away, when he ain't coming home like he normally do, when he worked 10 minutes from the house, but it's taking him 45 minutes to get home. Like, come on. She knew that he was out there, fucking around on her. And she was like, yo, after me just giving birth to 2 more of his kids, I'm holding down the household and this is what you do? And so she was like, "All right, bet. You wanna fuck around on me? Watch me do the same thing to you." Baby, it ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. Cause trust me, men, if you learn nothing else, let me tell y'all something. Y'all cheat for the physical. Y'all will go out there and smash a chick and, it be just for the physical. When we cheat, oh, baby, we gonna fuck that nigga like we love him, okay? And 9 times out of 10, most of the time when women cheat, it's emotional anyway. There's already been some type of connection. And so, around 2006, for like a month straight, Tanya was out there doing her. She was in them streets, baby. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that it's right because clearly they were married, they took vows. But, for her, she's looking at it like, all right, you want to do me dirty? Cool. I can do you dirty too. She was having fun and doing her thing, had her nice little affair. And then I guess Nathan got some act right because he's just like, oh, I'm sorry and I won't do it again. And, baby, it's supposed to be me and you. I don't want you out here fucking with nobody else. I ain't gonna do you dirty no more. We could work through this. I'm sorry. All of that bullshit. And of course, she's looking at it like, all right, we got a family, we got kids, we've been in it for the long haul. And so, she was like, "All right, I guess I need to just cut it short. I need to end this because homeboy was knocking it out the frame. But she decides that she's gonna put her, everything back into her marriage. Now, like I said, she's also being superwoman, basically taking care of the entire family. She's being the full-time wife. Nathan is cutting hair and everything, but it's not paying all the bills. It's not doing everything. And, the more that time went on in their marriage, the more that he became possessive and controlling. He would tell her that he didn't want her dressed in a certain type of way. He didn't like her hanging out with her friends. Like, God help her if she tried to look beautiful. God help her if she tried to make herself, feel pretty. That was a problem for him. Like, he's just like, "Why you gotta dress like that? Where you going looking like that? Who you going with? Why you gotta leave? Why you don't wanna be at home?" Like, asking her 21 questions. Nigga, you ain't 50 cent. Hell, you ain't even a dime, a nickel, a penny for that matter. But, it just got to the point that she wouldn't even wanna go anywhere anymore because he would just, like, hound her so much. "Oh, you just going out here to be a hoe. Oh, you just going out here to do this, do that." And, she would try to argue with him and try to, work with him and try to get him to understand, like, no, I just want to go out with my friends. Like, why do I have to be home all the time? I work hard. I take care of the kids. I take care of the house. I take care of you. And when he got really upset, he yelling and screaming at her. Few times he pulled his gun on her, and would just like sit it in front of her trying to scare her. And of course, it's working because she's like, yo, this nigga is crazy. And quite honestly, he had her right where he wanted her. She was at home taking care of his kids. He would get to the point that he wasn't working out of a barbershop. He started bringing folks to the house, which is dangerous because, nigga, you got 3 kids and your wife. And when they would come to the house, he'd be like, yo, go get your ass in the back. Like she's a kid herself, making her go into the back room and sitting there waiting on him to finish. But you got strangers in your house cutting their hair and doing God knows what else. And that God knows what else was drugs because, like I said, him cutting hair, that wasn't paying no bills. So he started selling drugs out of the crib. And Tanya knew something was up. She was like, yo, the type of people that were coming, to the crib, it was given very much suspicious. It was given very much shady. And so she's like, hey, I'm not feeling this. We got these kids here. What are you doing? And of course, he ain't listening to her. He gonna do what he wanna do. You know what I'm saying? He's just like, "Oh, this is my house, whoop whoop, whatever, whatever." So some time passes. He's still out there cutting hair out the house, bringing randoms and all of these, strangers or whatever. And so it just so happened that one day in 2009, Tanya was out handling business. Nathan was at home with the kids. So Nathan tells the kids, all right, I'm about to be cutting some hair. Y'all sit y'all little asses down somewhere, whatever, whatever. And remember, Tanya has told him so many times, I don't like you having these people at the house while the kids are here. But once again, he ain't listening. So he's in here cutting hair. Some people come up in there and they're claiming, that they're coming to get haircuts or whatever. But what do they end up doing? They robbed his ass with the kids in the house. Tell me why. When I say they beat the hell out this boy, they beat the hell out of him. And then on top of that, not only did they whoop Nathan's ass, but one of them grabbed Jeremy, Nautica, and Amber, held them at gunpoint, made them go into a room while they were beating Nathan's ass, and told them, sit down and don't move. Like, as a father, as a parent, that's when you just be like, all right, shit just got real. Like, nigga, they fucking put a gun to your kids' heads and told them to sit down and don't move and made them go into another room. These are little bitty kids. So, of course, he gets his ass whooped. And what does he do? Like a bitch, he ends up calling his wife. Oh, baby, they jumped me. They jumped me. They robbed me. And she's panicking because she's just like, my kids is at the house. So she rushes home. She see he look a hot mess. She sees that, he's beat the fuck up. But her kids are shaking because they're like, Mommy, he put a gun to our heads. Like, nah. See, that's when you got to get the fuck out. You got people showing up to the crib. Anything could have happened to those kids. If one of them would have, moved the wrong way, they could have been shot and killed. And so she's like, Nathan, this is exactly what the hell I'm talking about. Like, you not thinking about what you're doing. Like, she was done. Like, she had already emotionally checked out. She was ready to go. And, Nathan's on his bullshit, begging her, pleading with her, baby, please, please, baby, 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 please, please, baby, 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 please. Like, he over there sounding like Spike Lee. "Please, baby, baby, buy the shoe, baby. Please buy the shoe." That might be above some of y'all heads because some of y'all ain't that old. But, he's like, "Oh, don't leave me. I'm sorry. Blah, 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 blah. I can do better." All of that bullshit. And I guess for a little bit he did improve because he was trying to show her and, make her wanna stay. So she did. But I mean, let's keep it a band. A leopard never changes his spots. He's, going to church and praising God and, "Oh, hallelujah, bless the Lord," and all of that. And I'm thinking, listen, let me tell y'all something. You can go to church all day long. You can go to Bible study, but if you plotting somebody's downfall, if you still living like a heathen, it's so many sinners that go to church, okay? I can think of a few off the top of my head. Some of y'all may know who I'm talking about. I'm being shady, I don't care. I can think of a few people that be in the church every Sunday, sitting in the front pew, being the leader of the leader of the praise and worship and all of that, and be living foul soon as they step out them church doors. Like, that's how it is. Just because you go to church don't make you a saint, okay? And that's what he was trying to be. He was trying to portray himself to be a saint. But Tanya's not stupid. Like, she ain't falling for this. And so naturally, like I said, a leopard never changes his spots because as time goes on, he starts going right back to the old behavior, becoming more and more controlling. And she's like, "Well, what was up with this transformation that you was claiming that you was gonna have?" Like, I mean, you would think that him being attacked like that in his own home and having guns pointed at his kids would make him say, "You know what? Yeah, I need to chill the fuck out." But it didn't. He was right back to the BS. And, he's criticizing Tanya even more. He's terrorizing her at that. He's coming down on her more and more. And not only that, but now he's taking his frustrations and his anger out on the kids, specifically on Jeremy. Your one son, the one that adores you and tries to emulate you, and you treat him like trash. Like, he would go in on that boy for every little thing. Jeremy was, like, 14 years old when Nathan beat him with a broom because he went to go play basketball. The fuck? You beat your kid because he goes to play basketball? And so Tanya's like, "Yo, what the hell is wrong with you?" And he was like, "I told him not to go outside. I told him he couldn't play." Now I understand that, kids need discipline. I understand the kids are supposed to behave. I get on mine all the time about stuff that they're not supposed to do. But never in my mind have I ever thought, let me pick up a broom handle and beat my kid with it. The fuck? No. Like, you beat this boy. What the hell? Like, nothing that child could have done that would warrant something like that. I'm sorry, I'm sitting here stuttering and stammering, child. And so when that happened, Tanya was like, "You know what? I can't do this shit no more with you." She was like, "Nigga, you have lost your ever loving motherfucking mind." And so she tells Nathan, "Listen, baby, I love you, but I can't deal with this no more. You too toxic for me. I don't want to be with you." And of course, he pulls the same old "Baby, baby, 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 please, I'm sorry, baby, please." But she was like, "Nah, bruh." Her mind was set. So December of 2013, she decided that she was gonna take her kids and she was leaving. She called up her mama, she packed up her stuff, she packed up them kids' stuff, called her parents and was like, "Hey, y'all was right. My marriage is over. I'm gonna go ahead and move back home with the kids." And, her parents was like, "Okay, baby," her daddy, he ain't one of them "I told you so" types. He was like, "Listen, baby girl, we are here for you." Shout out to all the daddies. Like, oh, y'all know how I am about mine. I ride hard for mine. Shout out to all the fathers out there. They ain't on some, "Oh, I told you so, you messed up." Like, no, they gonna be there for you. That's some real parenting. Okay. Shout out to all of the good, I emphasize good fathers out there. All right. But yeah. So her parents was like, "Yeah, baby girl, go ahead and come on back home." And so she does. Here's the thing though, like, I was kind of surprised because Jeremy, even though he had been, beat by his daddy, it made me so sad because he was like, "Ma, I want to live with my daddy." And she's one of those parents, she's not gonna stop you from being around your dad or your mom, whatever. She's not gonna stop you. That's real parenting. I tell my kids all the time, if you ever want to go live with him, let me know so that I can contact him. I may not, I'm not going to get into it, but I have my feelings towards that man. But best believe I'm not going to try to block. If anything, I have tried multiple times to get a relationship built, but I digress. So, she's telling him, well, all right, baby, if that's what you want to do, cool, you got it. And so Jeremy stays with his dad. He stays living with Nathan. And I don't think Nathan did anything else, or there was nothing else recorded stating that, he had hurt Jeremy in any other way. But, for them, it was like living in a bachelor's pad. It was like a frat house. You know what I'm saying? They two guys kicking it. You got the teenager, and then you got the father that acts like a teenager. You know what I'm saying? So Tanya was cool with it. And the way that they worked out the agreement was Jeremy would stay with his father, and Tanya kept Nautica and Amber with her. And then every other weekend, they would swap. So every other weekend, Nautica and Amber would go to Nathan, and Jeremy would come to her. And so that's how they were doing it. They were still co-parenting. Tanya was like, "Listen, I'm not trying to keep you from your kids, but you just got to make sure that, don't do nothing stupid." And so that's how it went. But Nathan wasn't necessarily just focused on, just the custody aspect. He was trying to find out everything Tanya was doing. Like, of course, he's pulling that sneaky, conniving shit, talking to the kids. All right, well, what your mama doing? Where she go? Blah, 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 blah. All of that. He's calling her. She ain't trying to talk to him on that level. If it ain't got nothing to do with these kids, I don't want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? And he's like trying to use the kids as a way to get to her. And so New Year's Day of 2014, he tells her, "Well, I'm coming to get my kids." And she's like, "It's not your time to get the kids. Relax." But he's just like, "Nah, fuck all of that. I'm coming to get the kids." And she's just like, "Nathan, go ahead with that." Like it was giving very much Phaedra from Housewives, what she said, "Get from around me with that, Apollo." Like that's what that was. But Nathan's not trying to hear her. He's threatening her. He telling her, "Oh, fuck all of that. Imma come get the kids. You can't do shit. Blah, 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 blah." So he popping off at the mouth. Tanya's smart. She went and got her daddy. And so her daddy calls 911 from his phone, and they can hear everything that's being said. So, she's kind of like baiting him almost. And he's just like, "Nah, fuck all of that. I'm coming to get the kids." So the cops get to the house, right? They show up, and the cops are there. And all of a sudden, Nathan's just like, "No, that ain't what I said. I said I'm gonna come get my kids, and I don't know why she's trying to stop me. I just want to see my kids, man." And so cops is just like, "Listen, dude, we get it. We know you want to see your kids, but hey, you know what? Right now is not a good time for you to do that. Just chill out for a little bit, calm down. Tell you what, when the courthouse opens back up tomorrow, go to Wake County Courthouse. You and, Tanya, y'all go and y'all work it out together. Y'all can go and, do the paperwork, whatever, whatever." And so Nathan is like, "All right, bet." So he hangs up. As soon as he hangs up, them cops looked at him and was like, "Girl, if you don't get your ass down to that damn courthouse and get a restraining order against this fool, this nigga is off the hinges, okay? Like, seriously, off the hinges. You need to go first thing and get a restraining order. Don't you do no damn custody paperwork with him. Take your ass to the courthouse and go." And so she listens, so next day she gets up, does what the cops suggest. First thing that morning, she gets her kids ready, and she asked her parents to take the girls for her because she needed to go to Raleigh to the Wake County Sheriff's Department and file the paperwork. So her parents, she meets them along the trip or whatever, and they get the kids and she goes. Now, as she's driving, her phone starts going off. And first she sees it's her mama, and she was like, "Okay, she probably just forgot something, whatever, whatever." She don't think much of it. Then her daddy starts calling, and she's like, "Huh, okay." She still don't think nothing of it because she's like, "Okay, well, he just came and got the kids, so maybe, he left something or maybe one of the kids left something or maybe they need something. I'll call them when I get ready to leave the courthouse." And so then her brother starts calling her. She's like, "Okay, she's on a mission though. All she's thinking is, I need to go file this paperwork." So she ignores all the calls and she heads to the courthouse. Now, remember, the cops had told them the day before, "Oh, yeah, both of y'all meet up, go to the courthouse, blah, 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 blah." So she knows at some point he's going to show up. She doesn't know when because she hadn't talked to him. So they hadn't made any plans as to what specific time they were going to go to file the paperwork for the custody or whatever. And so, she gets to the courthouse, she goes and files the paperwork. Her phone goes off. This time it's Nathan. And he sends her this text message that says, "What floor you on?" And she was like, how the fuck this nigga know I'm here? So now she's looking around, she's paranoid. She's like, okay, he knows I'm here. It's time to go. So Nathan is on one. After he had texted her, or rather before he had texted her, he was texting her brother, Sylvester. And he's like, "Man, shit is getting worse. She won't let me talk to the kids. She downtown taking papers out. The kid's not in school today. I'm about to react, man. I'm sorry." And, Sylvester's like, "Okay, what's going on? Like, you really need to calm it down, bro. Like, yo, don't do nothing stupid." And Nathan's just like, "Fuck it. Nothing you can do now. It's over." Now, I'm curious as to how the hell he knew she was taking papers out. Like, was he following her and she didn't see him? Like, I'm just like, damn, keep your head on a swivel. But somehow he found out that she was filing paperwork on him. And so, he's talking to her brother Sylvester. Sylvester's trying to calm him down. He was like, "Yo, it ain't that deep, bruh. Just step back and think about it for a minute." But, Nathan wasn't trying to hear that. Like, obviously, he knows what's up and, he's pissed off about it because he's like, "Yo, how the fuck she gonna keep me from my kids? How the fuck she gonna sit up here and tell me she love me? Blah, blah, blah." Like, in his mind, he ain't done shit. Like, fuck the fact you pulled a gun. Fuck the fact that, you beat your son. Like, all of that. But he ends up coming to the courthouse or whatever, and Tanya, she gets the restraining order, she gets the paperwork, she gets ready to leave. She's feeling a little bit better because she's like, "Okay, I got this done. It's another step towards, getting away from him." And so she's walking to her car, and before she knows what's really happening, Nathan pulls up in his truck and blocks her in. And like he jumps out and just starts coming at her. She's trying to hurry up and get in the car. I don't know why she didn't have the keys. And this is why I'm always telling ladies, please have your keys in your hand, unlock the door before you get there. So, she's trying to hurry up and get in the car, but he runs over to her and he just grabs her and like grabs her by the face and is like muffing her face up against her own car. And he's losing his shit. "This what the fuck you do? This what you do? You think you can play me, bitch?" Like all of that. And, she's trying to calm him down. She's just like, "Nathan, baby, just listen, baby, please. Just, it's not what you think. You got to calm down, please." Like he's mushing her head against the car and she's crying, she's pleading. This is at the courthouse. Where the fuck was everybody? Like, how did nobody see this shit? So she calms him down enough that she convinces him that he can follow her so that they can talk. So she was like, "Come on, let's just go get something to eat. We'll sit down, we'll eat, we'll talk." And baby, when I tell you she needed the EGOT, she needed the Emmy, the Grammy, the Oscar, and the Tony for that performance. Cause she got him to calm down enough that he got in his truck and was like, "All right, cool. This motherfucker's psychotic." So he gets in the truck or whatever, and he's following behind her, and he's just like, I mean, he on her ass. And so, like I said, her phone had been going off that whole time. Her mama, her daddy, her brother, everybody's calling her. And so she gets the strangest phone call. She ends up getting a call from the SRO at Jeremy's school. And for those of y'all that don't know, SRO is a school resource officer. So she gets a call from an SRO and she answers it and she was just like, hello? And he, identified himself. He was like, "Let me ask you, are you with your husband right now?" And she tells him, no, he's behind me. Like he's following me right now. He's crazy. He's gonna kill me." And so the SRO, he's pretty much agreeing with her. He was like, "Yeah, that was what we were told." He was like, "Look at here. Um, we got a phone call saying that your husband was gonna try to kill you and the kids. You need to get to safety immediately." And so, she was like, he said, "What?" She put the pedal to the metal and she sped off. She kirked off. She drove her ass right to the police station, baby. I don't even think she put the car in park before she hopped out and ran inside. She ran inside and saw one of them officers and she was like, "Please, you got to help me. My husband is following me. I got a restraining order against him. He's going to kill me. Please help me." And so, sure enough, the cops go outside. Nathan is there. He's still fuming. Like his little beige ass is turning bright fucking red. He mad as shit. And so they calm everything down. I don't know if he went to jail or not because, like, the restraining order was fresh. Like, I don't even think he got an opportunity to get a copy of it yet, to get served with it yet. So, that's how fresh that was. But LaTonya is, still living with her parents and everything. And Nathan still ends up with custody of Jeremy despite that. Jeremy is still living with his father. But Tanya wasn't playing. She did go to court for custody. She did go and file custody to make sure she could get all of her kids. And so, Nathan, of course, is still getting his visitation or whatever, but they had a court case coming up. So, a couple of months had passed because this was January 2nd that she had gone to the courthouse to file the restraining order. So, a little bit of time passes and, all of that. They're still co-parenting together. But, I can't trust somebody that's quiet like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you do something like that where you spaz out and then all of a sudden you just real chill, that means you plotting, you up to something. And everything came full circle April 9th, 2014. So it's April 9th, 2014, and Tanya's at home in the bed. Like she hadn't really been, feeling too good. So she spent majority of the day resting. Now, her daughters, they're there at the house, but they're with the grandparents, they ripping and running, whatever. Where they lived, there was like a lot of land, and her dad had a couple of sheds way at the back of the property. So a lot of times he would go out there and, be working and he would have the kids with him. So no big deal. But like I said, she's chilling in the bed, she's resting, and she hears Jeremy's voice and he's talking to his grandmother. And so she was like, "Okay, what's he doing here so late? Like it's 9 in the evening." And so she gets ready to sit up and then she hears Nathan's voice. And Nathan sounds agitated as hell. And she's like, "What the hell?" So he's causing this like big commotion. Before she can react, Jeremy comes into the room and he was like, "Hey, Ma." And she's like, "Hey, baby." But she could still hear Nathan. So she was like, "Hey, baby, how you doing? What y'all doing here? Whatever." The whole time, Nathan is going off. "Y'all not gonna talk to me? Y'all not gonna talk to me? Somebody gonna talk to me today." And before she can get down to where her parents are, all she hears is gunshots. Tanya's mother, Angelia, gets shot at point blank range in her chest. So when Tanya hears the gunshots, she's panicking. Nautica and Amber, they come running into the room, "Mommy, mommy, mommy." And her instincts, they kick in. She grabs them. She's like, "Listen, get in the closet, get in the closet." She's shoving the kids into the closet. She shoves Jeremy into the closet. And she was like, "Don't come out for nothing. Don't come out." She knows that he's coming for her. So she runs and she grabs her cell phone and she calls 911. And she was like, "Listen, my husband is here. He's shooting. He's going to kill me." Like, he's not just going to leave without, coming after her too. And so he goes, after he shoots Angelia, she's laying dead. Now, her father, Sylvester, is outside. Remember, I told y'all he was in the shed area. So he hears the gunshots. He comes running towards the house, but he doesn't make it because Nathan shoots him multiple times. Like, it was like he just took all of his rage out on her father because he knew her father never fucking liked him. So he shoots him multiple times in his back and in his chest, and Sylvester dies in the grass in his own backyard. And so now that he's finished, you know, Tanya's panicking. She's trying to figure out where she can hide, but she knows he's going to come find her. And her thing is, I got to keep my kids safe. So he comes back into the house, goes to Tanya's bedroom directly. She's already put the kids in the closet. And, you know, Jeremy, he's in there. They're all boohooing. He's holding his sister Nautica and he's holding Amber. He's clutching them, trying to keep them quiet. They're crying. They know something bad is about to happen. And Nathan comes in there and he sees Tanya and he goes ballistic. And, you know, she's trying to do everything that she can, say whatever she can. She was like, "Baby, please, Nathan, baby, can we just talk about this? Can you calm down? You don't have to do this." And he's got like this smirk on his face, like, "Oh, I'm baby now. Now you want to talk? Now you want to talk? It's too fucking late for that." And like I said, he goes ballistic on her. He starts beating her. Like he's taking the gun that he has in his hand and he's just hitting her with it, punching her in her face, hitting her in the face with it. She's begging and pleading and screaming for him to stop. Like she literally falls to the ground and it does not stop him. He's still wailing on her, like just over and over. He hits her so much that she loses sight in one of her eyes. Like her eye is swollen shut fast. He's hitting her with the gun. He hit her so hard that the gun goes off. A bullet goes through her cheek. Like she gets shot in the face. And I'm just like, "Oh my God." And she's laying there, she's bleeding. And she says the one word that she can think of. She just says, "Jesus." And then Nathan's not done. He takes his gun and he shoots her in the chest. The bullet enters through her heart and he tries to pull the trigger again, but the gun jams. So once he realizes jam, he puts the gun down, calms down, like it was like a switch went off or something. He calms down. He walks over to the closet because he can hear the kids. It's not like they silent. He can hear the kids. He goes over to them, opens the door, and he tells them that he loves them. And he's like, "Y'all give your daddy a hug." "Nigga, I ain't hugging you, the fuck." But he hugs them and, "Oh, y'all give y'all daddy a hug. I love you." And then he hands Jeremy a cell phone and he was like, "You can call the police now." And he just walks the fuck out the door. And so he leaves, he goes down the street, he's running. Jeremy sees Tanya on the ground bleeding and he's just panicking. So he calls 911 and he was like, "Listen, a man just came in here and he shot my grandparents and he shot my mom." He didn't say my daddy, he said a man. Like the fucked up part is this nigga just shot his mama, but he's still trying to protect him. That's why I said, parents, fathers, mothers, y'all got to be careful how y'all treat these kids because Jeremy wanted nothing more than to have his father's love. He protected him even when he did wrong. Like, that shows you how loyal he was to that man. But, you know, he tells the dispatchers, he's like, "Listen, he's gonna come back, he's gonna kill us." Like, you can hear his sisters are in the background and they're just like, "We don't wanna die, we don't wanna die. Please, please send help. He's gonna come back, he's gonna kill us." And so the dispatchers, they're trying to calm the kids down. It did take about 8 minutes or so for them to get there. So they get the call dispatched and they get deputies out to Lake Glad Road. And I will say, when I watched the video, because I watched the courthouse footage or whatever, and I watched the video, and there was a part in the courthouse footage where they showed the deputy looking at his dash cam. Baby, when I tell you that motherfucker was speeding, if he would have gone any faster, he would have traveled back into time. Okay. So the thing about a camera car is when you are speeding, it triggers your camera to come on and it comes on quick. Like, so anytime you activate the blue lights in a squad car, or if you hit a certain speed, it's going to trigger the camera inside the vehicle to start recording. So the deputy that responded was Deputy Cameron Broadwell. Homeboy was going like 100 miles an hour. Like you could see the speedometer going up. I was like, damn. So, you know, he pulls up to the house. He's got his boy Deputy Shapcott with him. And so they get out and, you know, they go to the door. The way that the door is, I'm going to see if I can post some pictures in the group, but the way that the door is, it's like a screen door. So you can see inside the house before you're actually there. So they're getting out the car and they're like, "Hey, it's the sheriff's office." They're announcing themselves and all of that because they don't know what the fuck they're walking into. They just know somebody got shot. And so it looked kinda, like, calm at first, like, they don't hear anything, but then, the closer that they get to the door, they can hear kids. They hear Nautica, they hear Amber, they hear crying, and Jeremy is there holding the phone. So they're like, "Hey, one of y'all called 911." They opened the door and they were like, "Hey, we need you to come on outside," and the kids are just like, "No, you're gonna shoot us." And he was very like Cameron was very calm with them. He was like, "No, baby, we're not gonna shoot you. We're here to help you. We need you to come out." And so they eventually get the kids outside and the girls are crying. They're just like, "Help, help, my mommy's hurt, help." And so now that they have the kids, Deputy Broadwell was like, "All right, I'm gonna hand y'all off." So he gives the kids to another deputy that had pulled up because at this point, 2 more deputies had pulled up to the house. So Deputy Jeremy Evans gets out and he was like, "All right, I'm gonna put the kids in my car." So he takes the kids to his squad car and he starts, asking them questions or whatever. And now this gives Deputy Broadwell and Deputy Shapcott the opportunity to, go through the house and clear the scene. So they go inside and they look to the left, and the first thing that they see is LaTonya's mama, Angelia. And so he was like, damn, he walks over to her, he checks, no pulse, no breathing, no nothing. So he was like, all right, we got a body. So he's walking over there. Shapcott is going to check the other side of the house. He doesn't see anything. He's like, okay, scene is secure over here, scene is clear. But Broadwell hears a noise and he's like, "What the fuck?" So he starts following the noise. He goes to the left of the house and he sees a bedroom. So he goes in there and he looks and he sees LaTonya is rolling around on the ground. She is still very much alive. And so he's like, "Okay, just stay with me, just stay with me. Is anybody else in here?" And she was like, kind of mumbling in her agony. She's like, "My kids, my kids." And he was like, "We got the kids. Is anybody else in here?" And she was like, "No." And so once he makes sure that the scene is secure, he goes over and he sees how bad it is. And like he could see the bullet wound in her face. And so he's just like, he radios for his partner. He was like, "Shapcott, I got a body. She's alive. Get a bus in here, get EMS in here." So he's like cradling her now. And he was like, "Come on, man." He looks and he was like, "Oh shit, I know this girl." And he looks and he was like, "Yo, this is LaTonya." Like, he went to school with this girl, y'all. They went to school together. So now he's definitely worried. He's holding on to her and he's just like, "Come on, man, don't do this. You got to stay with me." Because at this point she's gasping for air and she's trying to talk. She's trying to move. And he was just like, "No, just be still, please." And she's like, "I can't breathe. I can't breathe." And he's just like, "Get the fucking EMS unit in here now." Like he's panicking. He was like, "Come on, Tanya, stay with me. Stay with me." And so they get EMS there. EMS arrives. They know the scene is secure. They kind of, I'm sure some of y'all are familiar. When you call 911 and it's a shooting, EMS will get there, but that don't mean that they're getting out the car immediately. They're going to stage. They're going to wait until, they know, okay, hey, it's good for us to get out. And at this point, the deputies had cleared it. So they go in there, they get Tanya, get her on the stretcher, and they take her to Wake Forest Medical Center. So while that's going on, the deputies are still clearing the house. They got the kids outside. Tanya's headed to the hospital and they see that the back door is open. So they were just like, okay, a little odd. Let's go see. It's April. So it's not like it's like cold, but it's like 9 o'clock at night. So it get a little, get a little nippy. So they were like, okay, let's go see what's back here. So they go out the back door and they start walking and they see that something's up. So they see a bunch of cars and then they see the barns in the back. And so they start going from barn to barn and then they see this field area. And when they get on the field, Broadwell sees 2 feet sticking up. And he was like, "Yep, guys, y'all need to come on over here." And so they run over and they find Sylvester Taylor in a bloodied shirt with multiple gunshot wounds to his body, just dead. And so now they're like, okay, we got 2 bodies and a woman that we don't know if she's gonna make it. Now, at this point, Nathan's ass is on the run. And, her children, Tanya's kids, they're, with the deputies, they're in tears. They literally just saw their mother get shot. Their grandparents have been found dead. They know that their daddy is still on the run. And like I said, Jeremy is still protecting his father despite what just happened to his mother and grandparents. So LaTonya's at the hospital and she's fighting for her life. She's been shot in the face. She had a bullet go through her cheek and it came out through her teeth. Shit. She had been pistol whipped, shot through the heart. Somehow, though, the bullet didn't implode her heart, but she had slipped into a coma. And, the doctors, they're performing surgery on her and, they're looking at how the bullets went through her body versus how they exited her body. They're completely like stunned to see the damage that's been done to this woman's body. Like the fact that she had a bullet go through her heart without actually shattering it. Baby, that ain't nothing but the grace of God. If that ain't telling you that this woman was meant to be here for a greater purpose, I don't know what is. And so LaTonya was in a coma for a good week. And when she comes out the coma, she's looking around and her aunt and uncle, they're in the room with her. And so they see, she's waking up and they're excited. They're rejoicing because at one point her aunt said that they were actually planning her funeral because they didn't think she was going to make it. But clearly God had other plans. Now, to backtrack a little bit, Nathan wasn't found right away. So he had ended up running down the road, and a man was outside on his porch. And Nathan had come up to him and was like, "Hey, can I use your phone?" Made it seem like he was just stranded, all of that. Dude let him use his phone. So Nathan ends up hiding in the area after using the phone. I don't know who he called, but he was hiding in the area. So when the cops come up on the dude, they're just like, "Hey, we're looking for this man." He was like, "Oh, yeah, he was here earlier. I let him use my phone." So he was found within 24 hours. It just wasn't like right away, but he was found within 24 hours. He was brought in, arrested, the whole nine. So, like I said, at this point, Tanya wakes up from her coma. And the first thing she does is she asks for her parents. She's nervous and she's scared and she's full of questions because she remembers the shooting. So she was like, "Where's my mama?" And they tell her, "Baby, we so sorry, but your mama didn't make it." And LaTonya is distraught. She's breaking down. She's like, "Well, where's my daddy?" And they tell her he didn't make it either. And when she heard that, oh, she really lost it. Like that was her daddy. She was a daddy's girl. And Nathan took the one man that was always there for her. Like she's just a mess. Her parents are gone at the hands of her own husband. And now she's panicking because now she was like, "Wait, oh my God, what about my kids? What about my babies? Please tell me." Clearly, this man is capable of anything. Clearly, this man could have killed her kids. She doesn't know what's going on. So now she's thinking that, he's completely spiraled because she remembered what the SRO said about, oh, he said he was going to kill her and the kids. And so for once, she has some reassurance and they tell her, "Don't worry, the kids are okay. They're good. He didn't hurt them. They're safe." And so she's grateful for that because her babies are still alive. But, she's also still mourning the loss of her mother and father. And she's trying to cope with all of this. It's a lot mentally on her. Her parents are gone. She has to plan their funeral and she's fighting to, improve her health and to get better. Now, luckily, her brother Sylvester is there. He's there for her every step of the way, making sure she doesn't need anything. She was in the hospital for a few more days and she just was like, "I can't be here. I'm going to my mama and daddy's funeral." And of course, the doctors are like, "Girl, you just had major surgery. You just got shot. We gonna need you to, stay up in the hospital. You are not in nobody's shape to be going to a funeral." The hell? But she was like, "This is my mama and daddy. I'm not about to miss their funeral for nothing. Like, these are the people that raised her." And I get it. She had been through something traumatic, but she couldn't see herself not saying her final goodbyes either. So, since her brother was there to help her, he put her in that wheelchair and he wheeled her to the parents' funeral. And it was a beautiful ceremony. And she got to say her goodbyes. But now, with all of this, Tanya has to deal with the trauma of her children healing and, all of that. And on top of that, she's not just healing physically, but she also has to heal emotionally. Like what happened to her is not just something that you can get over, overnight. But at least through the healing, Nathan kept his happy ass locked up. He did not get bond. The sad part is this asshole had no remorse. Like after he got arrested, this man literally said, "Oh well, it happened. Too bad. Can't turn back now." Ooh, Jesus, Devontae Christ, the way I would have been wailing on this dude. Like he would have got an ass whooping. Okay. I would have listened. Somebody would have touched him on the inside. Okay. But she eventually has to face him in court. Of all the days, the trial for Nathan Holden begins February 14th, 2017. Yes, y'all, Valentine's Day. So the trial starts and he come up in there with his little jumpsuit on looking like Shaggy with them shit locks on his head. They not groomed. They not the nice, locks that we used to seeing with the fellas. No, these things look like they were matted together and his hairline was running like a baby daddy running from child support. But, prosecution, I will give it to them. They were definitely prepared for this case. They had witness after witness get on their stand and just laid it out like it was. The prosecution told the jury this man had no remorse for what he did to LaTonya. This man had no remorse for how he killed her parents. And it was facts. Like he literally said it himself. Oh, well, you know. And when I was watching the trial online, like, it was almost like Nathan was, like, acting like he was on display or something, like, he kept giving smiles to the camera, he kept looking at the camera and stuff, like, it was several times where the camera would pan to Nathan, and he would look up and give, like, a little smirk or a little smile, and I'm sitting there like, "Nigga, you are on trial, like, your lawyers suck because clearly they hanging your ass out to dry. I know they see you doing this shit, and they haven't told you, 'Hey, stop doing that.'" At one point in the trial, the prosecution asked him, "Why'd you do it?" And he just shrugs and says, "Well, if I can't have my kids, nobody can." Clearly, he gives zero fucks about what he did. Like, his plan was to basically kill her and be in prison for the rest of his life while his kids were raised in the system. That's real genius there, dude. Like, he knew there was no way in hell he was gonna be able to keep them kids after he did what he did. Like, you looked at your son and handed him the phone and said, "Oh, yeah, you can call the police now," because you knew that they was gonna come for your ass. That is the sorriest excuse for a father if there ever was one. So, anyway, the trial is going on and they're bringing all of these witnesses to the stand. They brought, her brother, Sylvester Jr., which is, her oldest brother or whatever by her dad. And so they put him on the stand and he talks about the text messages. Like they blew them shits up behind him on the screen so he could see them. They brought up the text messages where he was talking to Nathan, on those two separate occasions with the whole restraining order thing and then the night of the shooting. So, he tells the jury how Nathan kept saying it's over and how he was fed up. And the prosecution also brought up Nathan's father, that raggedy bastard. So they put Nathan's dad on the stand, which was crazy to me because it was like he was so apologetic to Tanya and her family. And oh, I'm so sorry for what my son did. And I can't believe he did this and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, motherfucker, where you think he learned this shit from? He watched you beat his mama's ass for years. So of course he's picking up the same behavior and mannerism, you dummy. Like, I'm not saying that that's an excuse for him to do that because there's plenty of people that came from, households where there was abuse and they did not turn into the abuser. But I'm just sitting back like, did you really think that this motherfucker was just gonna walk around and be sunshine and lollipops? Like, come on, man. And so after they get his father on the stand, they end up getting Nathan's mother, Antoinette. And, she's talking about how his behavior was growing up and how he witnessed a lot of things he shouldn't have and how he seemed to be a good child, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, of course he gonna be good because his daddy is whooping your ass, so he don't want to face the same consequences. But between the prosecution and the defense, they had over 50 witnesses, one of whom, of course, was the deputy that went to school with Tanya, Cameron Broadwell. Now, like I said, he was one of the first ones to respond on scene. Like you could see he was like when you watch the if you watch the court documentary, he is shaking. He was shaking watching that footage. And he showed, the jury how fast he was going and who the way my vertigo would have kicked in. But, listen, he was better than me because them was some winding roads, not to mention it's pitch black and they live in the middle of nowhere. So, he's talking about the trajectory of everything in the house, how he found it, how Tanya was rolling around, all of that. And so the prosecution starts talking about the trajectory of the bullets, how it entered into, Tanya's body, everything like that. So they went back to the text messages. They pulled her brother, Sylvester, back on the stand and they started showing the text messages that the defense didn't know about. So they were just like, oh, yeah, there was text messages like, it's over today. Like, it sounds premeditated to me. Like, if that ain't premeditated, I don't know what is. And then, y'all, this was where it really got sad. They brought their oldest son, Jeremy, to the stand. Like, can you imagine being on the stand and seeing the man that you once admired, the man that you called your father, sitting in an orange jumpsuit because he goes ballistic and shot everybody that you love? And what was really sad is what Jeremy testified about. Like, Jeremy testified on the stand that he had texted one of his friends as they were heading to his grandparents' house before the shooting. He texted one of his friends and told him, I think my daddy's gonna kill my grandparents. And I'm just sitting like, what the hell were you saying in front of your son for him to say that? You know what I'm saying? So the trial didn't take long at all. Like it was roughly 3 days. The trial lasted until February 17th, 2017. And the jury goes off to deliberate. And of course, it don't take them long. They went, they got some coffee, talked about, love and hip hop, Miami, New York, Atlanta, Los Angeles, Hollywood, whatever, who knows. And they come back and they find Nathan Holden guilty of 2 counts of first degree murder, and guilty of 1 count of attempted murder. So he goes back to prison where he waits to be sentenced. And on March 3rd, 2017, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Thank God. And so the jury was presented with evidence of 39 mitigating circumstances. And this is how they determined his sentence. So the defense gives 39 pieces of evidence basically stating that, he suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder because of his chronic childhood abuse, that he suffered from all of these different things. And, he couldn't function in society, which he had been doing for so many years. And so rather than give him the death sentence, they was like, all right, either way, motherfucker, you ain't getting out. So he gets life in prison. And he is now an inmate at Lumberton Correctional Institute in Lumberton, North Carolina. Now, since he's been in prison, Nathan has had 6 infractions, with his most recent one being July of last year for disobeying orders. I was looking, majority of his infractions were in fact for disobeying orders, and then there was one for like unauthorized leave. Like I feel like that one they should have, they should have taken it back to the movie Life. Use the gun line. Gun line, boss. Pop a cap in your ass if you go past the authorized area. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of Nathan Holden and LaTonya Allen. And now it is time for Fair or Foul, where we look at the justice system to determine if the sentence that was given was indeed fair or if it was just some bullshit that's going to have us sitting back saying, what the fuck? Okay, so here's my thing. The fact that they met in middle school and all of that, there were a lot of signs that I feel like maybe Tanya did ignore because they were so young. But, I'm also looking at it like, okay, she is a typical teenager. Like, the parents will sometimes tell their child, hey, I don't want you talking to this person. I don't want you seeing this person. And they have a valid reason. But Instead of us actually taking heed to what our parents are telling us, we rebel. So I feel like Tanya was rebelling because, like I said, she's a typical teenager. She's not looking at it like, oh, my parents are looking out for me. She's looking at it like, oh, my parents are trying to stop me from being happy. But as she got older and as she put in more time with Nathan, she saw firsthand what it was and she tried to get away from it. She knew this is not something I want for my life. This is not something I want to expose my kids to any more than they've already been. She tried to get away from it. She went through the proper channels of filing a restraining order and all of that. But honestly, a restraining order ain't nothing but a piece of paper. Because if a person really wants to get to you, they will. And it's not to say that it's not effective. It's not to say that you shouldn't go and get that piece of paper. But ladies, we got to learn to be able to protect ourselves. When you go get that piece of paper to keep them away, that they call a restraining order, when you go get that paper, make sure you get another piece of paper that says that you're licensed to carry. That'll really keep them away. And then when you get that piece of paper, make sure you get another piece of paper, which is a receipt from the firearm that you purchased. So in the event that a fool tries to run up, he can get done up. Amen. He can end up in a pine box. That's how I view it. I learned how to shoot at an early age because you try me, baby, you going to end up with some slow singing and flower bringing. You understand? You're going to be on somebody's t-shirt with them clouds in the background. Only it's going to be flames because I'm going to be, listen, all these people that be putting pictures up they relatives with clouds in heaven. No, damn well, some of y'all need to be looking down. Okay? Nathan getting life in prison without parole is perfect. Me personally, I would prefer for him to get that good old $42 cocktail because nigga, you a whole other level of diabolical. Like you took away her parents. You knew that they didn't care for you, but you still, they still tolerated you because you were with their daughter. You were the father of their grandkids. You knew the drama that you were causing. You knew the chaos that you were causing. But because they called you on your bullshit and expected you to be a man and stop acting like a little biz naive because they were supporting LaTonya and not wanting to feed into your little psychotic episodes, you took them away. You knew that that was going to hurt her. And that's typically what most abusers do. They're going to take away something that they know that you truly love. And if it ain't going to be them, if it ain't going to be the kids, then it's going to be the next person, which in this case was the parents. They were the ones that Tanya really cared about. And that's just so messed up to me that you went that far with it. You deserve to rot. Since you not gonna get the death penalty, since you not gonna get that $42 cocktail, then your ass needs to sit there and rot in that prison. And I hope that somebody makes you they prison bitch. I hope that somebody sees your little light-skinned, pink, pouty mouth ass and grabs a handful of them shit locks off that big ass forehead of yours and makes you get on your knees, or better yet, hopefully they bend your ass over and tell you to go for what you know. Bend it like Beckham, bitch, because you deserve it. Old Ferengi from Star Trek Next Generation head ass. Like, you abused this woman for years. You beat y'all kids. You beat your own son with a broom. Like, what kind of psychological torture have you done to that boy? And here's the thing that really got me. Even after the trial ended, it was said that Jeremy still wanted to have a relationship with his father. Do you know the type of kind-hearted individual that is? That tells you Tanya raised him right. Even though you did these things to him, even though you did what you did to his grandparents, even though you did what you did to his mama, he said, you know what? I still want to have a relationship with my daddy. I still love him. That speaks volumes. He's willing to say that he can put aside what you did to him for the sake of a relationship with you, even though you will never see the outside world again. You have to watch your children grow up through prison. And I'm pretty sure that LaTonya contacting you to tell you how they doing ain't happening. They're old enough now where they can make decisions for themselves, and they probably don't want to fuck with you. Now, after the trial was over, naturally, they were giving interviews and everything. And LaTonya, she was like, okay, I can finally grieve the loss of my parents. I don't have this trial looming over my head. And so, like, she actually told one of the interviewers, she was like, why? We didn't deserve this. My parents didn't deserve this. I didn't. My family didn't deserve this. My children. And it's always been a question of, why did this happen? Why did it have to go to this extreme? What did I do wrong? Like, they continued to interview, and as they got further into it, she was talking about how she had to face Nathan in that courtroom and how it made her feel, and she was like, "It was hard for me reliving that again and just grieving. It's been 3 years. I really miss my mother. I really miss my father as well, but that motherly love, that connection, she was my best friend, and to not be able to pick up the phone and call her and say, 'I love you, I miss you,' or 'This is what I'm doing now,' or 'Are you proud of me? This is what the kids are doing.' I like really, really miss my mother. Not being able to talk to her, I have to go to a gravesite to visit her. And I just truly miss them so much. And like when I say she had the reporters damn near in tears, like she went on to say April 9th, 2014 doesn't define me. It doesn't end there. There's more to me than just what I survived and what I went through. And so, like, when they asked her how she felt about the sentencing that he got and them taking the death penalty off the table based off of him having, the childhood trauma, she was like, it was just a big relief. Like, you know, a weight was lifted off my shoulder. And I was like, now it's time for me to grieve. Now I can grieve my parents because everything has been up in the air and it was like no closure. And so now I have that closure, which is true. Because, now the kids are grown. They're all living their lives without this asshole. Jeremy, he actually followed in his father's footsteps and he's cutting hair and he's got a beautiful baby boy. The oldest daughter, Nautica, I think she's 21 now and she's a hairstylist. And I believe Amber is right behind her at 20 years old. So, they're both old enough to make the decision for themselves as to if they want a relationship with him. As for LaTonya, she eventually got remarried to a pastor named Jamar, and, she's living her best life, traveling the world, talking about the things that she, had done to her, educating others, doing conferences. And, I'm grateful and happy to see that she's taking this experience and preaching to others so that they know what to look out for, so that they know that they can't blame themselves or shouldn't blame themselves. Get out while you can. But when it comes to this little motherfucker Nathan, too many times you messed up. Why would you shoot the woman that you claimed you love? What was the reason for you to try to kill her?
What was the reason?
You are legit a monster. Your reason was bullshit. Your reason for trying to kill your wife makes no sense considering you were the one that hurt her in the first place. You weren't a man. You were a little ass boy that couldn't take the fact that she had gotten her strength and was leaving you. How the fuck you sit there and sympathize with your mama and the things that she went through and try to get her help, but then you turn around and do the same thing to your own wife? Like, make that make sense, especially the wife was the one that you were confiding in and crying about your mama too. Like, you killed her parents, Negro. You already made her suffer, so why shoot her too? I just don't understand. Like I said, you didn't like seeing your daddy beat your mama. You didn't like seeing her suffer, but then you turn around and become him 2.0. Like, make it make sense to me, my guy. You should want to be better than what you grew up around. That's what we as children are taught, to be better than our parents. That's what I teach my kids. Be better than me. Like, I'm not going to make them be worse than me, although, it would be impossible because I'm pretty freaking awesome. But, be that as it may, I can only hope that that these kids continue to work through what has happened and that LaTonya has found that peace, because it does appear that she has, like I said, she's happy and she's living her life. And I'm praying that, Nathan, bruh, you better hope that I'm almost certain that that ass is probably wider than 635 right about now. And if it is, you deserve it. That is all for this week's episode of the Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast. You can follow the show on the various streams on Instagram and TikTok at Infamous One Podcast. That's a number one, by the way, not spelled out. And you can leave a review there. On X, it's Infamous One Pod, where you can also leave a review. On Facebook, you can join the private discussion group, the Infamous Ones discussion group, but please be advised, if you don't answer the questions, you ain't getting in, okay? It's that simple. But, once you get in there, come on in, take a seat, sit down, and tell us what you're sipping on, where you're from, all of that good stuff, okay? The show streams on multiple streaming services like Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, of course. So, leave a review. It only takes a few seconds. The reviews do matter, and we're going to go ahead and get into a couple of those, shall we? The first review comes from Spotify from Renee on the That's My Baby episode. And it says, "Hey, Kay, love, love, love your podcast. I listen to you every day on my way to and from work, as well as while I'm showering. I found you in January 2026, so I'm binging tight now. Keep doing what you're doing. Hashtag fan for life." Thank you, Renee Boo. Yes, I love my fans for life, baby. Welcome to the mob, baby. I hope that you enjoy each and every episode. Make sure that you listen. Now, the next review comes from Apple Podcasts from Midas the King, and it's a 5-star captioned "Hooked from the first episode." It says, "I absolutely love your show. The storytelling is nothing more than chef's kiss. It makes my workday and commute home more bearable. I love your show so much that I put all 4 of my sisters onto it too. Now we're all hooked. I'm so glad I found your show. Please keep up the amazing work." Yes, as these kids would say, clock it. Yes, get everybody and their mama onto the show, boo. That's what I'm talking about right there. I love to hear that. Like, I hope your sisters enjoy, and I hope that you and your sisters come out to the live show June 6th. Now, speaking of June 6th, the event tickets are now available. The Infamous Ones Murder Mystery Who Done It. The link is in the description box of the episode, and it will be in every description box of the episodes going forward until the event. Now, the tickets are $35 each. You have the option to purchase alcohol at the show, and you will be competing for the grand prize of $500 cash. And yes, there will be some surprise podcasters there too. So make sure that you get your tickets. It will be in Savannah, Georgia, June 2nd, 2026. The description is in the event on Eventbrite. Tickets are going to be buy one, get one free for the next 48 hours. So from now until, actually, you know what? I'm going to do y'all one better. Until Sunday night, the tickets are buy one, get one free. It is Thursday ish doing this, editing for like the 5th time. So yeah, the tickets are going to be buy one, get one free until Sunday night. So y'all got until 11:59 p.m. Sunday night. Y'all better bum rush and get them tickets while you can, because I ain't doing that again, okay? I don't care if we got 10 people there or if we got 70 people there. And y'all know y'all got y'all tax refunds that done hit, so get your coins together so you can head out to Savannah, Georgia, June 6, 2026, baby. Also, December 19th, 2026, I will be having another live event in Dallas, Texas. Now, it won't be, the competition, but it's pertaining to a major case that happened in Dallas involving law enforcement. Now, as of right now, it's still in the planning stages, obviously, but as it gets closer, I'll go ahead and, post the event information so that you can get your tickets. Cause I know, some of y'all are a little further down south and a little bit further away and can't necessarily make it to the East Coast. So I'm gonna do something in Dallas for my Southern folks. You know what I'm saying? Don't forget that for the month of April, I will be doing the Celebrities Who Are Gone Too Soon series. Now, y'all know I've done the celebrities who thought they was about their life in the past, but now it's going to be the celebrities who are gone too soon. So, it could be an episode about a celebrity that may not have necessarily committed a crime, or, it could be one that did, but that's kicking off the first Sunday in April. Now, remember to support the Black Box. Y'all know that I just drop episodes whenever, there's no real time frame for those. You never really know as to when that's going to happen. I know I dropped one not too long ago, but I'm going to be dropping another one soon. So stay supporting the Black Box. Now, special announcement. Sunday, March 29th, there will not be an episode because I will be off the grid. So please do not expect an episode. I might drop one of the Black Box because those are already pre-recorded. But as far as the infamous ones, y'all know, yeah. I'm still trying to get better with dropping these episodes every Sunday on time. I know, listen, this thing is a succubus. It is draining the life from me. I am sleepy so much. Oh my God. I fell asleep eating a sandwich, y'all. That's terrible. I know. But listen, so there will not be an episode on Sunday, March 29th, because I have been ordered to go off the grid and I have to follow doctor's orders. Ad space is still available if you would like to have your business mentioned on any episode. We are still running an ad special for $30. You can inbox me or reach out to me via Facebook group, or you can email me at infamous1pod@gmail.com. If you want to support the show, or if you're feeling the spirit, meaning that liquor that y'all have been sipping on and that, icy slushy that I have, click the link at the bottom of the screen from whatever app you're listening to this episode on and hit listener support to give. You can also donate via the Cash App at $infamous1pod. That's $INFAMOUSONEPOD. Donations are going to go toward court documentations, interviews, JPay, all of that. Oh, shout out to the popcorn donation. I have been downing popcorn so much more. Lately, it's been cupcakes and queso ruffles, though. So listen, don't judge me. If you have a case that you want to hear more on that you feel has been ignored in the Black community, if you want to inquire about ad space, or if you want to leave a review, send an email to infamous1pod@gmail.com. That's INFAMOUSONEPOD@gmail.com. And once again, people, please share, share, share. This podcast is growing by the day, and it means the world, so keep sharing. Until then, y'all know what it is. I'm your girl, Kay. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see y'all on Sunday with a new episode. Stay mobbing, y'all. Peace.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast hosted by Kay. Be sure to like and comment on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe so that you never miss an episode.